Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Joey. I did a video the other day on Diego Sanchez and his bizarre manager slash trainer slash everything else under the sun, doctor, dentist, nutritionist, physical therapist, everything under the sun, Josh Fabia or Fabia, I think is how he pronounces it. And I wanted to make a follow-up because I felt like a lot more information came after that I posted that video. In that video, I'll put the link in the description. I talked about Diego's switch from Greg Jackson or Jackson Winklejohn's camp to Josh Fabia's camp. I talked about some of the bizarre instances, including a death choke and whatnot. But I'll put the link in the description for that video. I wanted to react slash analyze some of the more bizarre things that have come out since I posted that video. But make sure you go check out that video first if you haven't already. First of all, this Diego Sanchez training video with Josh Fabia is absolutely disturbing, and I'm going to play the clip for you, and then I'm going to react to it. So here we go.
You recording or no?
Yeah, recording.
Okay.
Okay, as you can see in that clip, that was extremely bizarre. Josh Fabia has Diego hanging upside down, and he's just punching him in the head. Even starts throwing some kicks in there. What kind of training technique is that? I've never heard of that before. You know, he's basically trying to give the guy CTE, and he's already taken enough damage in the UFC. And he's gone on in interviews, and I'll play a couple clips from interviews from Diego. But Fabia's gone into some interviews saying he's trying to save his fighter from damage suffered, in fights and this and that. He is punching that man in the skull. And what's the craziest thing is right before he's like, "You recording this, right?" Like, he wanted that out there. Like, I spoke about it in the first video, but this guy is incredibly not self-aware at all for being the school of self-awareness. How did he not think this video would make him look bad? And if you go on Diego's Instagram, School of Self-Awareness Instagram, there's more bizarre training circumstances. But to have Diego hanging upside down and you're just punching him repeatedly in the skull and chin, and then you're kicking him to the shoulders and bodies, in the shoulder and body, absolutely disturbing, bizarre, and, I don't think there's any room for it in MMA. I know I spoke about this so much in the first video, but this guy is taking advantage of Diego Sanchez. He obviously wants a cut of whatever money he can pump out of Diego. We're going to get to more of that in a second. But Diego was cut from the UFC. And in my first video, I didn't understand necessarily why he was cut from the UFC. There was some information on it, but now it's kind of come out more. Before I get into it, I'm going to play a call that Fabia recorded on the he was on the phone with Hunter Campbell, who is the UFC's lawyer / he deals with different stuff like this with the UFC. So I'm going to play that clip and then I'm going to react to it. So here we go.
I just got a text from someone in my medical department basically saying that you called them for a, quote, formal request for all of Diego's pre-fight medical records, paper copy, all necessary post-fight records, every physician that he has ever been evaluated by. By the way, we have no control over any of that. That's all commission done, so you'd have to make those requests formally with the commission. But more importantly, what the direct quote that I received was, you stated that the, quote, long-term effects of Diego being an MMA fighter were your basis for requesting it. Yeah. So I went through this with Mark Hunt, and here's the reality. If you're concerned or he's concerned that he's having negative effects, then we're not going to fight him. And I'm going to pull the fight right now. and we're going to call it a day, and we'll release him, and he can go do something else with his life. Because I'm not putting anybody in that cage that doesn't feel 100% or thinks they're suffering from any medical issues.
Well, it has more to do with how is his physical body and all the treatments that he's had over 17 years of injuries in his hands, his face, and all over his body that I'm referring to, that if he needs medical attention after his career, how is he supposed to move on without medical records? As that's what I'm concerned about. That's all it is that if he has to go see another doctor about his hip or his back or any of these things, how is that doctor, why would we have to pay for new imaging, new everything when it should be on file? Well, I don't understand what the problem is.
So as you can see in that clip with Josh Fabia, Diego's manager, talking to the UFC's lawyer, he was trying to acquire some type of medical documents. Supposedly he wanted Diego's full medical history. Now, I'm no expert in what goes on, but what wasn't really showed too much in that audio clip there was a lot of these medicals are done by the commission. The athletic commission is ran by the state, not the UFC. A lot of people don't get that. Like the athletic commission hires the referees. UFC has nothing to do with that. Hires some of the medical people to do evaluations before fights, just because it's kind of a conflict of interest for the UFC. So basically what the UFC lawyer tells him is if you want to, you have to go to request it from the commissions if you want the medical records. And it's very bizarre, and I'll get to why I think he's doing this in a minute. But he's essentially saying that, oh, well, he wants some of the imaging so he doesn't have to repay for it in the future when he's not a UFC fighter. Well, if he's having a new issue, he's going to need new imaging anyway. And what I think is going on here, and the reason I think the UFC cut Diego after these interactions, because what wasn't in that clip also, Hunter Campbell says to him, well, I'm going to send you an email noting all this, and basically, you have to confirm to me that Diego is in good health, there's nothing wrong with him, that you already have to pass all these other medicals through the commission again, just because I cannot put him in the cage if supposedly, he has some type of damage or medical effects going on right now that they're unaware of, basically to cover themselves in the future for a lawsuit. So there's a discussion to be had about whether or not the UFC should take care of their fighters after the fact, after they're done with the UFC. And I think that's a whole nother issue. But I think what's going on here is, just my theory, everybody knows Diego Sanchez's career is coming to an end. This was going to be his last fight in the UFC for sure. He's basically on a 3-fight losing streak, even though, again, he's technically not because he won a DQ, but he was getting demolished in that fight. He's taken a lot of damage over the last 3 fights. He's taken a lot of damage over the course of his career. And I think what Josh Fabia is trying to do here, and this is just my speculation, just my opinion, I think that he is trying to set up the future for some type of lawsuit to sue the UFC to hopefully get Diego a big lump sum, and then obviously it's going to be shared with Josh Fabia. So I think that's his motivation behind that. He sees Diego's career is coming to an end. I said in my first video I did not think another MMA promotion would pick him up just because there's too much, going on there. I don't think anybody wants to touch it. I wouldn't. If I'm Bellator, if I'm PFL, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole because these guys are just nothing but trouble. So also I wanted to play some more clips. So I basically think I'm going to play some more clips in a minute, but I think the UFC cut Diego because they knew what was going on here. And what I don't have a clip of in here, but Diego did say it, is when the UFC decided to do this, they cut Diego and they paid him his show and win money. And when a fighter fights, some people don't know this either, they get paid one fee to show up, and then if they win, they get paid another fee. And usually it's double. So if you get paid, let's say $50,000 to show up, you get paid $50,000 to win. So if you don't win, you can only get half your money. UFC said, okay, we're going to cut you, and we're going to give you all the money. We don't want to deal with this headache anymore. We want you gone. We don't need you versus Cowboy Cerrone. We just want you out of our hair, and we don't want to deal with any more of these issues with your weird, bizarre manager, Josh Fabia or Fabia, whatever the hell his name is. And then there's also been a lot of speculations. I've even seen it in the comments of my first video that Diego. So when Diego first met Josh, he was going through a divorce, going through issues in his marriage, and a lot of people have speculated that the two were in a romantic relationship. Well, the next clip I'm going to play for you is Diego reacting to that, which I thought was notable. Put it out there since a lot of people are asking about this, so I'm going to play it here. Go ahead and listen to it.
He mentored me and coached me in speech. He mentored me and coached me in father, how to be a better father, how to so many other things. It's not, and no, we're not gay. Yeah, the Ariel Hawani pushed that narrative. That was a part of Ariel's narrative. Put the little picture up and the brazzers, and no, we're not gay. He's been the best friend that came into my life, helped me get my shit together because he's seen a man who was so traumatized.
Okay, so there you have it. Diego Sanchez addressing the rumors that him and his manager are in a relationship. It is what it is. I mean, a lot of people were speculating about that, but Diego, they're straight from Diego's mouth. It is what it is. There's not much you can say about that. He says that he's his best friend. It just shows the amount of attachment that Diego really has to this guy. And if this guy really is taking advantage of him, Diego is in deep, very, very deep. In some other interviews, which I don't have clips of, where Diego and Josh are doing, the interview side by side, Diego would be talking at some points, and Josh would tap him on the shoulder and then cut him off and start talking for him. And it just goes to show you this guy, Joshua, just tries to make everything about him, and he's completely tarnished Diego Sanchez's legacy. I've been a fan of Diego for a long time. Even though he hasn't been the, greatest fighter there ever's been, he's been in a lot of amazing fights, back and forth wars. I'll never forget Diego Sanchez versus Gilbert Melendez. But this manager is just, it's crazy. It would be better if they just shut up, because he is just making things worse and worse. And in another interview, they also said that the UFC is basically using their social media influence to put negative comments from fake bot accounts on their Instagram. But no, I mean, that's possible. I'm open to anything. But let me get this straight. I went through and looked at those comments and clicked on probably 15 different profiles. And to me, they appeared to be real profiles. I posted my own video. I probably got 30, 40 comments on it from real people. There may be one person siding with Diego. It's just such a bizarre circumstance. And I think this is going to be the end of Diego's career in general anyway. I don't think any MMA promotion, any combat sports promotion is going to pick him up. Maybe bare knuckle boxing. At the absolute maximum, bare knuckle boxing may pick him up. But it's just really such a sad situation to see a fighter like Diego, who a lot of people consider a legend, a lot of people love, go down this path with this guru self-awareness coach who's just a fraud, And one thing I never mentioned, we were talking about the bizarre training techniques earlier in the video, but there's another video that circulated last year. He's chasing Diego around the cage with a knife. What the hell kind of training technique is that? Definitely super bizarre. I want to play one last clip for you just to kind of show what appears, I feel like this clip really shows Diego's mental state. I feel like he's really felt like he's been betrayed by the UFC, which I don't know. I don't know if he could have got a better outcome. He didn't have to fight. He got a show and win money. So for all intents and purposes, the UFC took care of him in this case. They didn't want to deal with the headache of, okay, the talk of medical issues, potentially being sued. They said, okay, we'll pay you your money and go away. But you can really see Diego, who's been around for years. He's the Ultimate Fighter 1 winner. He's really betrayed by Dana and the UFC. I'm going to play that clip now, and then I'll be back in a second to discuss it.
Why? Because he might bring some light. He might bring some awareness to what you're hiding in the dark. Well, I'm still open to meet with you, Dana. Be a fucking man. Be a real fucking boss. When I've bled, I've sweat, I fucking cried. I fucking cried for this fucking company. I fucking sacrificed more than you will ever know. And you can't fucking have a 45 minutes to meet with it? Oh, but you'll meet with Clay Guida. You'll meet with Clay Guida and you'll post that shit up. But little brown boy from New Mexico who was supposed to be knocked the fuck out.
So there you go. There's the clip. You can see Diego is emotionally distressed. For two guys who constantly talk about negativity, and I know they want to get their side of the story out. And by the way, those last two clips are from Anthony Smith's YouTube channel, so I got to give credit there. Uh, the interview was extremely bizarre. You could see the looks on both Anthony Smith and his co-host's face. I think that said it all. They didn't ask too many questions because Diego really didn't give him a chance. And at the end of the interview, because they were doing this on Sirius XM, they had a time issue. Diego would not let them get off the call. It's like he's just clinging to desperation to keep his name relevant. And it's just such a sad look. I feel so bad for Diego because he's in such a bad situation, it seems. But you can tell he's deeply hurt by Dana White in the UFC. He's super emotional. I don't know what's going on with him and Josh, and who knows what the future will hold. But basically, to sum it all up, I think what happened was Josh Fabia was looking on Diego's behalf to potentially sue the UFC and get some type of settlement, which the UFC taking care of their fighters post their careers is a whole nother discussion. I agree with something should be done with that as far as insurance, health insurance, something like that. But basically, Joshua was looking to try to sue the UFC on Diego's behalf, get some type of lump sum settlement. Obviously, he's going to get a piece of that. That benefits him. The UFC said, you know what, we're not going to deal with this. You guys are playing some weird type of game, acting like, there's some type of issue going on when there's potentially not. So we're just going to cut you. We'll pay you your money. Go away. And then I just can't believe that bizarre clip of him hanging upside down and Fabia's just punching him in the head repeatedly, trying to give him some type of brain damage. Diego is now a free agent, but I suspect that nobody is going to sign him up. Nobody is going to want him on their roster. Just too many issues going on. And this is such a sad circumstance, but it is what it is, I guess. Let me know what you guys think of this in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, and I'll see you in the next video.